What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Yuka, and I am back over here on the Rolls Royce Ghost. So, if you are wanting to know how to take off your turbo intercooler off the engine, I'm going to show you how I did that and where some of the screws are, bolts are that you're going to have to get to and what you need to use. I'm actually right now about to replace one of my fuel injectors. My fuel injector, I believe on cylinder 11 is not working properly. So this 2010 Rolls Royce Ghost has all index 7. I believe it's index 7, and they've made so many modifications on the injectors. They're up to an index 12. So I'm replacing this 7 with a 12. I think I'm gonna probably end up replacing all the injectors to a 12. That way I'll have, no issues going forward, and that's what you want. So I'm taking the injectors off. I'm kind of breaking it down. I've changed one of the injectors, and it was on cylinder 1. So now I'm changing cylinder 11. Cylinder 1 was kind of right up front. I'm gonna show you that right now. Cylinder 1 was like right there. So I changed that injector several months ago, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Car works perfectly. So now that I'm testing the car out and everything, a little bit later, I got a code. It said misfire cylinder 11. So the first thing I did was I changed out the spark plug. I changed out the spark plug. I removed the right here. You have this air box. You have to remove this air box, and you have about 7 T screws that you have to unscrew. Those are T25. So you can use T25 to remove all 3, 6, 7, 8, 7 off the box here. And then once you get the box here, you can take the you have to remove the lid. I removed the lid, and then there's a plastic clamp here on your intake hose, your cool air intake hose here, and some clamps on this side. You gotta, lift those clamps up. There's also a tube down here that you have to unscrew your bolt there, and I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about. How about we just back it up a little bit? So this is the box, and as you can see, the clamps right here, you have to make sure that you open those up. So you kind of pry a little screwdriver, put a little screwdriver here and you can kind of pry that open, and it'll come out. And then also you have to use a long screwdriver to untighten this one, so that way it slides off of that exhaust or intake hose. I think that's to the turbo hose. So then once that part, you have one connector here that you have to lift up, and there's like a little tab at the bottom of that. That's what it looks like. The little tab on the other side. See if I can get a good picture of it. Cannot, but little tab on the other side. You lift the tab up, and it'll slide right off of that little mount. Then you can remove this. Here's the air filter that you remove prior to taking this out. There's the air filter there. Let's see if I could give you the model number of the air filter. So the air filter, if you're wondering what kind of air filter, this is the one that we use for the Rolls Royce Ghost. Okay. And then once you do that, then you have to remove a couple more assemblies. Okay. So you have the throttle body housing. This throttle body housing is actually attached to the intercooler box here. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts that you're going to unscrew. Those are going to be your T30s. So you're going to use a T30 for those 4. You're also going to have a bolt in the back here that you need to unscrew, and also one there. And I believe those are still your T30s as well. If not T30, then definitely T25. Also, you're going to have another one of those screws down here at the bottom that goes to that one, that sits on this hose here. This hose here sits on top of that, and it's at an angle. So once you unscrew this here with your flathead or whatever you're going to use, you're going to have to wiggle that up and out. Once you get that out, you have a connector back here that you have to make sure you're not pulling on the wire too much. It's going to be some slack, and you're going to have to pry that up from the back. There's a little opening. You can put like a little tiny flathead screwdriver in the back of the cable to slide that off the housing. Once you get the housing off, this is your throttle body here. This is what it looks like. Move that out of the way. And then I also remove the turbo, I think it's called like a turbo intake, turbo vacuum pumps. And these sit kind of on the back of the engine back here, but I removed them so I can have more clearance on this side. So you're gonna have, and these kind of pop off. They're not screwed in. You see there's like a little, this hole here. You see that hole there and that hole right there. Those kind of sit on some little nipples and you can pull them up. However, there's a bunch of vacuum lines, at least one vacuum line here that you have to pull out, and then also one at the back down here at the bottom on both sides that you have to pull out. And again, that vacuum line. Once you do that, and then disconnect the connectors that go there and there, like a little push connector, you can actually remove this whole thing from the back of it, which you're going to need that space. Now that we've got that done, I wanted to show you, this is what the intercooler looks like. And the thing about the intercooler turbo is that it actually has liquid going through it. So you see there's a hose here, a hose that goes to the bottom of this cooler, one on this side and also one at the bottom on this side. So those I'm not gonna disconnect. I'm gonna leave those connected. However, like the front plate here that had 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, there's also 4 screws back here. 1, 2, 3, and then there's one like in the middle at the bottom. And the way I was able to get to that one was I actually was able to use my T30. I was able to use my T30 and kind of go in up under, guide it, and kind of feel around. I was able to feel around until I found that screw, and then I used my ratchet here to help untighten it. I untightened it, and then once I was able to untighten it, I was able to kind of wiggle this, ever so gently, because I didn't know if it had a gasket or anything on it. Wiggle it ever so gently from being in that position, and it came right off. There was a little bit of oil on the back, so I kind of wiped that up. As you can see, the oil coming from the exhaust intake manifold. I guess that's what it's called, the intake manifold. And that's okay. I think that's normal. That's not a bad thing. So now I'm able to move this out of the way, and I can see where my fuel injector lines that I'm going to have to disconnect this one. I'm going to have to disconnect this one after I disconnect the battery and release the pressure and all that good stuff. Start the car, disconnect the actually turn the fuel pump off manually with my computer, and then start the car so the fuel is not in there. I'll figure that out. And then I'll be able to get down here and take this bracket off. There's a bracket that's holding 2 fuel injectors on. Okay, you can't really see it. I'm supposed to write down there. Okay, so there's this is 12. This one is 12. That's 12. And this is 11. This is the one that's giving me a bad read. I've already changed the spark plug and the coil, and I still got the same bad read. So I'm assuming that my fuel injector is bad, and I'm going to change it out to a type 12. In actuality, I should probably order no and go ahead and change both 12 and 11, so I don't have to come back all the way on this back end side of the engine. But anyways, there's a brace down there. I'm going to unscrew the center bolt of this brace. You can't see it because this right here is in the way. Let me see if I can move this out of the way. I cannot. It's actually kind of on there somehow. I figured that out without breaking it. So something is actually holding that down. I don't know if it's just the zip tie or what. But there's a bracket down there. I'm going to unscrew the bracket. That's going to kind of allow me to use my injector puller to move out the injector, replace the injector, put the lines back on, and then put everything back together. So that's what we're doing right now. I'm getting ready to change out. And this is on a Rolls Royce Ghost. So if you needed to know how to get to it, I hope this video kind of gives you an idea of what you have to do, where the things are. I'm going to keep it going and come back when I get a little bit more depth.